What's up, boys? Damage back with the fun with the channel. Yes, yes, I know the last video was very big. The French Revolution. Now we're gonna discuss the Napoleonic Wars. Now, announcement. This is our first lecture for the 19th century. Woo! First lecture for the 19th century. After this, we're gonna discuss the Napoleonic Wars. Today, in this video, we're gonna discuss the first coalition and the second coalition. What? First coalition and second coalition. Okay, first and second coalition. Let's do this. So previously we discussed that the consulate is formed, Napoleon comes in, overthrows the directory and puts a consulate, and then as a consulate he's basically the one who runs the government. What happens? Let's go a little bit back and let's see when the directory was here, what was happening. Well, when the directory was in France, what happened? Well, when the directory were in France, a lot of corruption happened. Actually, way too much corruption. A lot of corruption happened, but mainly War of the First Coalition happened. At first, the French were struggling, and then they took Netherlands and the Low Countries, and then they did a prompt attack to Vienna. Today we're going to discuss specifically the Italian campaign about it, but I also discussed the Rhine campaign. In the three-way plan to get Vienna, the two main forces at the Rhine were in the hands of Marshal Jourdan and Marshal Muro, and the Italian army was under Napoleon. I think I shouldn't call them Marshal right now because Napoleon hasn't came yet, so we can say General Jourdan and General Moreau had the main armies in the Rhine. I'll tell you which is the Rhine. Many people, geographical people, won't even know what is the Rhine. This is the Rhine. The section between Germany and France is called the Rhine. This is called the Rhine. This section of the world, this section of Europe is called Rhine because it's between Germany and France. And Napoleon got the army of Italy, which was here. Okay. So let's start. Napoleon, we have to consider one thing when I'm talking about these campaigns. Napoleon had a terrible army. Napoleon had an army that wasn't well supplied, didn't have the greatest troops. They had barely food as well. And who are they going against? They were going against two enemies: the Sardinians, the Piedmontese, or we can say the Sardinians, and the Austrians. Now, Napoleon starts marching through Italy. He sees that if the Piedmontese army, or we can say the Sardinian army, if the Sardinian army and the Austrian army combine together, he will not be able to take them on. And that's pretty normal, right? Like, that's what happened. Like, Napoleon knew one thing. And that one thing that he knew was that he cannot take the Austrians and the Piedmontese together. So he did a signature Napoleon move. This is signature Napoleon move. He broke through their front lines, separated the Austrians and the Piedmontese and fought them individually. He knocked the Piedmontese out of the war by this battle. Look, Battle of Mondovi. In the Battle of Mondovi, they defeated the Piedmontese and forced them to surrender and forced a peace treaty from them. The Austrians saw this. The Austrians retreated back to Alessandria then. But what I want you to know that the Mondovi battle was very big. And then through pursuing, the Napoleon confronted the Austrian force at Lodi, where he got a decisive victory, and this was a very big victory. Then what happened? He got the Battle of won the Battle of Lodi. That now what is the plan, right? Well, the next plan is that now through some other battles like Battle of Castiglione and Battle of Linatograda, he gets more land. Austrians are more and more going towards peace. Why? They're going towards peace because Napoleon is destroying the Italian army. And finally, he's being noticed by the Directory. The Directory is now finally reinforcing the Italian army. Why? Because he's seeing that the Italian army is succeeding, right? Then a very big battle happens. What battle happens? The Battle of Caldero happens, and after that, the Battle of Arclay happens. The Battle of Arclay is very much key. The Battle of Arclay happens. Wait a minute, 2 minutes. Battle of Arclay happens. Yeah, the Battle of Arclay happens, and this is a very decisive battle. The Battle of Arclay. Napoleon wins the battle. The Austrians flee. Now what will happen? Now what has happened? Well, then another decisive battle on June 14th or 15th, 1797. June 14th or 15th, 1797. A very decisive battle, a very, very decisive battle, known as the Battle of Rivoli, happens, and again another Napoleon victory, another French victory. With that, a minor victory at La Forietta, and then the final hit. And when I say final hit, I actually mean the final hit to every one of these shots ended at Mantua. Battle of Mantua. In the Battle of Mantua, Napoleon destroyed the Austrian army. Basically, now I'll tell you which type of area he has now. He has all over this area. Even the Bassanos, he has one in Cagliametto, he's one in Valvason, he's one in all of these areas, right? He's one in all of these areas. He's one in Carves, Cagliamento, Valvasoni, and in the Battle of Mantua, Austrians get destroyed again. The Austrians see that their influence in Italy is gone. In hope to regain the respect in Italy, they do a peace treaty with Napoleon. Napoleon, not the Directory. Napoleon himself goes to the Austrian court. He himself does the peace treaty, and he himself does it. And hence the Battle of First Coalition has ended. Why? Because the Austrians have made peace. You have to see now, I'll tell you this. Due to this, the French have gotten all of this area. If I can make a line, please, I need a line. Okay. All of this area. All of it. Well, before the Italian campaign, I think also they had a little bit of this, but before the Italian campaign, this was France. Or we can say this was France. And then after a lot of battles, they had so much more land. What did they do with this land? They established sister republics to spread the idea of revolution. Okay. So basically the First Coalition has ended. Napoleon single-handedly has defeated the Austrians. Now let's go a little bit ahead. Napoleon overthrows the Directory. Napoleon is now the first consulate and the only consulate of France. The only consulate. Means all government is in Napoleon's hands. Now, before Napoleon became the consulate, a war of Second Coalition happened. Why? I'll tell you when this war happened. This war happened when he was in Egypt doing an expedition. When he was doing his expedition in Egypt, the Second Coalition was happening, and France was this time on the defensive. They were not winning at all. Yes, they got minor victories, but not too many good victories. Napoleon becomes the consul. He reinstates the military, reorganizes the military, and hits all the European enemies back. He hits them back. And at the famous Battle of Marengo, if I can find it here. Yeah, look, Battle of Marengo here. At the famous Battle of Marengo, he defeats the Austrians. And then and another victory by General Moreau. General, he's not made marshals yet. Napoleon has not made marshals yet. A victory by General Moreau in the Rhine area here. Here, General Moreau got a very key victory, and hence Austria to sue for peace again. Hence, second coalition ended. Why? Napoleon's great strategy. Okay, I'll go a little bit deep in the Battle of Marengo now. Okay, I want to tell you these things. Okay, here's Napoleon. Here's Genoa. And here's the Alps. These are mountains, the Alps. And here's General Moreau's army. The Austrians, I'm going to make the Austrians as arrow. The Austrians are besieging Genoa and fighting Moreau's army. And Napoleon is here in France. So what Napoleon does? You would expect Napoleon to save the army of the Rhine, right? You would expect him to save the army of the Rhine. Why? Because that Rhine army is way much bigger and way more important. No, Napoleon's going through all of these very big mountains. You should have enough common sense to know this, that, going through mountains with a whole big army is very difficult. But rather than reinforcing the Rhine army and not to cross the mountains, he is crossing the mountains and going to interrupt the siege of Genoa. Now, remove all this. The Genoa is being still sieged. Napoleon comes here. He has crossed the mountains, okay? And the Austrians are still besieging. The Austrians are saying that, yeah, Napoleon will break our siege. No, Napoleon doesn't break their siege. Napoleon does one classic Napoleon move. They're being besieged. Napoleon does one very classic Napoleon type thing. The Austrians are besieging the Genoa. Napoleon goes for their supply line in Milan. Basically, what Napoleon does, Napoleon cuts the supply line of this Austrian army that is in Star. Without your supply line, you can't have food, water. So what the Austrians do? They panic. They say, okay, we need a fight against Napoleon. And at the famous Battle of Marengo, Napoleon trashes them. Napoleon trashes them apart, and bang. So you see why he won Battle of Marengo? He won Battle of Marengo due to his unexpectedness. He was expected to, reinforce the army of the Rhine, but he reinforced the army of Italy. Now, we have discussed the first two coalitions, right? The first two coalitions ends and starts. So what happened after these first two coalitions? After these two first coalitions, Napoleon has, this was France. Okay, then this was France a little, we could say. They have added, they've had some Netherlands sister states. They've added some sister states near the Rhine. And there are way more sister states in Italy. And basically, now the French Empire, the French Republic is this. The French Consulate is this. It's now so big. So you see, due to the first two coalitions, Napoleon has expanded the empire hugely. And he expanded the empire hugely. And now he's considered is. Now everyone will announce war. Now the third coalition will happen. And that will be the Napoleon's best coalition. For now, we'll stop. We're going to discuss the third coalition and the fourth. We're going to discuss the third and the fourth coalition in the next video. And trust me, those are Napoleon's best. So you don't want to miss them. And now I'm going. Bye.